Here's the highly illegal backyard of Aroma Thyme Bistro, the fire pit, the tent, everything else that's good back here, the garden. Highly, highly illegal back here, according to Building Inspector Brian Schug, Ellenville Building Inspector. So, as I have talked to village officials have told me how pro the village, or how pro Brian Schug is to business in Ellenville. Marcus, he's pro-business, he's really out for the business owners, he's here to promote, he's here to help, he's help do whatever. So here's my question to village officials, okay? If Brian Schug was pro-business, pro-Ellenville business. First of all, he gave me permission to do this back here. He gave me permission, I have verbal permission from him, and I have written permission that I showed in my very first video on this, in the first of the series, that he said, hey, put an oven back here, put a fire pit back here, as long as you meet state fire code. And by the way, the tent doesn't need anything because it's 400 square feet or less. So Marcus, you're okay, just put the tent up. And when I called him to inspect this, when I was done with it, it was odd that he didn't come and inspect it. He was like, no, I believe you. It's good to go. It's very simple was what he said. So now his claims are that everything was done back here without planning board approval, without proper plans, planning board, site submission, all that kind of stuff. Well, my question is, if I go to the building inspector and say, hey, this is what I want to do, wherever I'm at, my yard and what my building, and he says, go ahead and do it, and he doesn't say, hey, you need to do X, Y, and Z, what is wrong with the situation? Now he's coming back 4 years later and saying, you never did X, Y, and Z. You just went straight to Z. Because, Brian, you never told me to do X and Y. You said, hey, Z's no problem. Go ahead, have fun, do that. Meet state fire code with that. And so that's what I did, and I called you. So if you're pro-business, like the village says you're pro-business, Brian Schug, if you're truly pro-business, why didn't you come back here and say, you know what? I'm concerned with your backyard. I'm concerned. Let's cover our bases and submit a site plan and submit planning board approval, just so down the road nothing ever happens back here. I'd hate for something to happen like that, and for you to lose business. I know you do parties back here, this and that, and come to me all concerned. Instead, the guy comes here with the health inspector, who in an article that just came out claims that he accompanied the health department here. First of all, the health department has nothing to do with this back here. The health department has nothing to do with the fire pit. They have nothing to do with anything back here, the health department. So the article made it seem like that Brian Schug, the Ellenville village inspector, sort of accompanied the health department. That's not the way it worked. The health department specifically told me that he was called here by the building inspector. The building inspector called him here as backup to come back and write me violations, to hopefully shut me down and crack down on me. So if Brian Schug, the village building inspector, is so business, why are you calling in another agency to bust me? This doesn't make sense. And then you lied about in front of that agency. You said you never knew about it. You said I never spoke to you about this when I have emails that prove it. And I sent the emails to the mayor. I handed the emails to the mayor that same day and said, Jeff, here's the proof. Why is this guy coming down on me when he gave me permission? Brian Schug is not pro-business. He's his own agenda. It's his power trip. It's his ego. It's what he needs to do to be a man, is to boss people around and be the one who's in charge. If Brian Schug was a real man, he would have said, hey, Marcus, you know what? I screwed up. You're right. The emails, there are email correspondence here. You did email me 4 years ago. You're right. So let's move forward now and let's see if we can resolve this. The guy hasn't said one thing to me except and I made threatening moves to him back here when he was doing inspection. I was threatening him. If you ask my staff who was on here that day, they will tell you that they can't wait to come on camera, by the way, and say how they feel about him. He was the rudest, nastiest inspector ever. He was just downright rude, nasty, making rude, nasty remarks about every single thing. They said he was so unprofessional, it was insane. Because I actually had to leave to take my son to a doctor's appointment. My son had Lyme disease. So what prompted all this was the fire inspector was here 3 weeks earlier. I come back here one day and he's back here unannounced, taking pictures like crazy, which unannounced is fine, because I'm not hiding anything. But he's back here taking like 30 pictures, and the guy's lying to my face. He's like, oh, Marcus, this is great back here. It looks great. By the way, the fire inspector is also taking me to court and sued me and lost, because his architectural practices are very, very unethical. So he's back here taking 30 pictures. Like, Marcus, this is great back here. This is a great place. The fire pit's great, this and that. And he goes, if you just wouldn't mind putting up a where's it at? Right, it's over here. A fire extinguisher. You know, just so it's within reach. So I went and bought this fire extinguisher. He goes, you know, just so you're safe out here, if you can just put a fire extinguisher back here, that would be great. And I said, sure, that's no problem. That's easy to do. So he came and compiled the evidence against me, the fire inspector, with all these pictures. Then he takes it to the building inspector. The building inspector says, okay, yeah, this is illegal. Let me call the health department so I can get back up here and write more violations. The health inspector came back and he goes, this isn't my jurisdiction. He goes, has nothing to do with me back here. And he walked away and did his part of the inspection inside the building. So in the article, Brian Schug, the village is claiming that he accompanied the health department. He didn't accompany the health department. He called the health department to come in and bust me. The guy is not pro-business. The guy is not pro-business at all. So Ellenville, village officials, if you think this guy is pro-business, you're very misled. If Brian Schug was a man, he would have apologized to me and said, you know what? The mayor did show me the emails. You're right, I didn't remember that. So now that the fact that it's been done, let's get you on the planning board. Let me help you get planning board approval for all this that you've done back here, because you are a mainstay in the village. You are a key business. You were the one who took the first chance here on opening a restaurant in downtown Ellenville. But he hasn't done that. He hasn't done that. He's going to sit there and still lie through his teeth about how this whole thing went down. And he's going to sit there and keep pressuring. Now the village was, we're going to get an outside inspector. No, we need a village officials. We need an inspector who's a man and who's pro-business. And Brian Schug is neither of those. Neither of those. He's nasty and he's rude and he's there for himself. He's on his ego trip, and that's what he needs. And that's point blank the deal. You ask, I bet you, village officials, if you go ask 5 other business owners here in town, 10 other business owners, you ask them off the record to make comments, you do a survey, you'll find out how rude and nasty and not how pro-business this guy is. You will find out. So I'm just the only one that's speaking up right now. I'm the only one that has the courage to post videos and to go out there and place ads and post this kind of stuff and build a website, because I don't feel that I deserve the abuse from this guy. I feel I don't, and I feel the village needs to reprimand him. Maybe not where he loses his job, but reprimand him. He denied me my First Amendment rights. He called me, raising his voice and a nasty tonality, telling me that I can only talk to him, that I can't talk to anybody else. And his previous fire inspector, Carl Hinkle, when he was inspecting, he would tell me, do not call the mayor. It only complicates things. I'm sorry, but as a First Amendment right, I have the right to petition and redress my government. And my local government especially. I have the right to contact anybody in government. And this department is telling me that I can't do it. That's a major First Amendment violation. How can you support somebody who's a First Amendment robber? How can you support somebody who reneges on what they've said when I've had email proof? There needs to be an investigation on this. There needs to go further. Instead, if the village did an investigation, they never contacted me. You have all these village board members now saying stuff like, oh, how unprofessional I am. Hello? Look at your building inspector when you want to look at unprofessional. Lack of ethics, Brian Schug. So there's an article up there that the Ellenville Journal wrote, Schwangung Journal. So I'm going to break that article apart piece by piece and actually give my side. Because I wasn't interviewed for that article, by the way. I was not interviewed. They had something at Village Hall at the village board meeting. I wasn't invited to that. I couldn't speak up. So the whole thing of me making these videos is for me to speak up, because I went to the mayor, I went to the village manager as soon as this happened, because I didn't want to post a video, I didn't want to go on Facebook. I was very specific with the powers to be here in Ellenville. I don't want to take this to social media. Can you please help me resolve this? Yes. So my voice was never heard in the village. My voice is not being heard. So the reason I'm posting videos is so people can hear me and the village can hear me, because this is the only way. Why? This happened 3 weeks ago with all these videos I've been posting. Why has not one single Ellenville trustee, village trustee, approached me about this and talked to me and come back here? And I don't even think any of them have really seen my backyard, the Ellenville village trustees. And I would doubt many of them have even been back in my backyard to see what's going on back here and find out what I'm doing back here and how I support the community. So more videos to come. Stay tuned. You can catch all of these. If you missed a different video or a different post, they'll all be posted on exposeellenvillebuildinginspector.com. Thanks for watching. Please share this video. The corruption has to stop. Somebody needs to be accountable. Brian Schug needs to be accountable to somebody. Somebody needs to step in and say, you're out of line. You need to be reprimanded.